Let me check if I'm live. Am I live here? Hello? Let me know if you guys can see me. We're already live here to start our webinar. 5 minutes to go. I'm gonna wait for more people to come in. Leave your comment as you come in. So we're gonna comment here just so more people are motivated to chat with us. Tell us our country. And your role in soccer. More people coming in. Welcome guys, Dimitri Mello here, the Soccer Excellence Mentor. Thank you for attending to this live webinar where I'm gonna teach you guys how to plan a session, how to build a session, how to execute the session step by step. I'm not gonna jump any step because I don't think things work that way. You need to know step 0 from 10. So I found out a new way to show you guys webinar where I can share my screen with you. So this is why it's everything black now, because I'm waiting for more people to join us. It's 5:58 here in Europe. So 1 more minute and we'll start. Let us know who you are, send a message, prepare your questions, make comments. This is interactive, so I'm gonna answer to your questions. I'll just finish my topic and then I'll go into your questions, okay? Or just finish the thought and I can go right into your questions. So don't be shy, ask questions, use me. That's why I'm here, and that's why you guys are here, so we all can learn and improve. 5 people now. Share this with other coaches, with coaches you think they wanted to join already, because this is gonna be very, I mean, if you lose 10 seconds, you're gonna lose a lot of material, okay? I'm not the guy that rambles on. I'm really into giving you guys applicable knowledge. So every second is gonna count, okay? So if you lose the beginning, you've lost a lot of the thinking process. If you lose the middle, also always the same. Hello, Seth. Welcome, man. Thanks for attending from US. Thank you very much, Seth. We've had some good conversations this week and on posts we've shared on YouTube groups. So thank you very much for attending. Currently coaching U12s and U14s. That's great. I think this session is going to be great for you. It's exactly the public. Again, I'm going to explain how to shape the same session to lower levels, to younger players, to older players, to higher levels, etc. So this is going to be useful for everyone. But the standard session, the exact session I'm giving you guys today is exactly for you, Seth. It will be very, very useful. You can apply it as it is. So let's start. It's 6:01 here, so I'm already 1 minute late. So I'm going to be starting. So please go introducing yourselves, telling us your roles in soccer, where you come from, where do you coach, if you're a player, whatever. Okay? So let's start. I'm going to be sharing my screen with you guys right now. Let me know if you can see my screen. I think so. So first, this is a session. I'm going to set up the session here. This is a session for 18 players. Okay, let's say you have 18 players. Let me start here because those are not the first part of the session. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to grab those two guys, bring them here. Okay, and now we have here, we have our 18 players. That's 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 players. Let me separate them a little bit like this so they can fit this circle. Okay, so this is the beginning of the session. This is how you start. You're going to be the coach. So let's say this is you right here. Let's say this is a perfect circle. There's no need to represent it very well, but it should be a perfect circle. So if you're in doubt of how to make a circle with your players, just gather them together, give their hands, and step back. Okay, so everyone give their hands to each other as they are here. Make them step back so the circle is increasing in its radius, okay? So you can see everyone. Dimitri, why is this important? Because that way you as a coach can see everyone. As you talk, everyone can see everyone and you can control the group in a better way. So this is the first step, okay? You have your players. The way we do it in Spain, we already get our players on the locker room. So you go to the locker room, they're changing or whatever. Once they're all changed, you can talk to them, anything, whatever you want to talk to them, and then you bring them to the field. And as I bring them to the field, this is the first thing I do. Circle. They all know that it's by second session. They have to be doing that perfectly with any waste of time. Okay, if you're wasting time on that, you're not explaining things correctly to your players. Your players have to be very well trained to get into the field and wait for you like that. If you're finishing building up a session, setting up an exercise, putting cones on the floor, etc., they should be waiting for you as this, okay? And then you get here, and then you start to talk with all of them at the same time, okay? So this is the first point. Let me see here if there's any questions so far. No questions. Okay, good. First point here. Then you talk whatever you want to talk before the session. Hey guys, I want, as always, 100% intensity. Whatever you want to talk to them here. Okay, I'm not going to get into that right now. I think we can get back here after we analyze the session so you can understand what you can introduce to the session before it. Okay, so once we are here, let's go to the first exercise. Okay, again, you have 18 players. Okay, so let me draw us here. We are the coach. We're the coach. Always black. There. This is us. Okay? So you're going to explain the exercise first. So the first session, we're going to start, the first exercise, we're going to start with the rondo. Again, this is a session for teams that like to play with possession. Okay? So teams that want to control the game through having the ball, through the concepts that allow a team to have the ball and manipulate the opponents through the ball. Again, the ball is only a tool for you to manipulate your opponent. Okay, you don't want to move the ball, actually, you want to move the opponent. So this is exactly what we are doing. So you're going to start this session with rondos: 4-1, 4-1, 3-1, 3-1. Okay. Why 3-1 and 3-1 and 4-1? Because you have 18 players. So you have 5, 5, 10, 4, 4, 18. That's it. Okay? So how do you explain exercises to your players? I'm going to go from step 0, as I told you. Oh, Dimitri, I know my players know how to do a rondo. Yeah? Do you think? I don't think so. So let me start from the beginning. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna do one rondo, and I'm gonna have all my players with me, stand here by my side, okay, in a circle too around the rondo, and I'm gonna explain exactly how I want this rondo to work, okay? So let me change this guy to this guy so we can understand exactly what I want. Let's say this guy's here instead of this guy, out. You come in and you are blue. So let me out, out, and out. Let's bring you here, bring you here, and bring you here. And then I change here. It's very important this because we're going to talk about a lot body orientation. Okay, so this is very important to see. Okay, so everyone is around you, around this rondo, watching you explain how this rondo works. Let me introduce a ball. So this is the ball. Good. So please answer me, as this is interactive. Okay, so let me see if you guys are here. Okay, please answer me. What is the first thing you're going to talk about with your players about this rondo? What is the first thing you're going to talk to your players about this rondo? Please answer me if you guys know. I'm going to take 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Any answers? You guys are not being very interactive right now, right? Okay, being shy. Shy is not the way to go. Very important thing to discuss in rondos: body shape, orientation. So important and miss opportunity for learning if you don't. Perfect. I totally agree with you, Seth. It's very, very important. So the first thing I would start to explain the rondo, I start with where. I'm going to answer questions: where, what, how, why, etc. Okay? So I just want to answer the most crucial questions for my players so they can start playing. Okay, so I want to save as much time as possible to give them only the needed information so they can start playing. So the rondo, I'm going to tell them. So there's a cone. There will be a cone here, one cone here, one cone here, and one cone here, establishing the square, right? So I'm going to tell them, first, we have a square, cone, 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 cone. Can everyone see the square? Once everyone tells me yes, I move on. So yes, everyone can see the square. Next step. There's 4 players outside of the square and 1 player inside the square. Let me change this to this so we can also see the body orientation as Seth told us. It's very important. Okay, so 4 players outside of the square and 1 player inside the square. Okay, good. I asked them, any doubts there so far? No, everyone can see the 4 players and the 1 player inside. Next step, what are we trying to do? The 4 players on the what, where is answered, the what. The 4 players on the outside are trying to maintain possession, avoiding the player in the inside from stealing it. That's the what. Okay, so the 4 players on the outside have to play with the ball with each other, so to avoid the player on the inside to steal the ball. Period. Okay? Does anybody think they need any other information to start this drill? I don't think a player needs any other information rather than where and what, so they can already start to play. Okay, so me as a coach, I'd say, okay, start playing, and they start playing. Okay? So this guy passes to this guy presses a little bit, let's say they're not yet trained into what I want them to do, so this guy does this, and this guy passes the ball to this one, and this one takes a lot of touches, or he just doesn't pass the ball and keeps the ball stepped on his foot. He steps on the ball and stands the ball still until this guy comes, whatever. I'm waiting for them to show me what they can do, what they can't do, how much do they understand of the dynamic of this exercise. Okay, so I'm watching. I'm just watching. I just gave them where and what, and now I'm just watching what they are doing so they can tell me, so they show me what they know and what they don't know. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna correct, and I'm gonna tell you why, is the most crucial thing for everything else to happen. I cannot start in step 2. Okay, I have to start in step 1. So I don't really care right now about those guys with the ball, because if this is the training, then I have to care about them first. But there's an opposition. In this rondo, there's an opposition. So what they have to do, the what, is to avoid this guy from getting the ball. So there's no reason for me to intervene in my attackers if my defender is not executing his task first, because it's his job to try and steal the ball, because again, the guys from the outside are trying to avoid him from collecting the ball. Okay, so there's nothing for them to do if there's no opponents. Okay, so first thing I will have to correct, and let's write it here, is pressure. Number 1. Oh, Dimitri, why is it pressure? Why is it pressure? Because if this guy is passing to this guy is just tapping on the ball and waiting for the opponent, and now this guy passes to this guy, and there's no, or mild pressure, and this guy passes to this guy, and this guy takes a lot of touches and passes to this guy. First, I don't want them to take a lot of touches, but I don't want to limit their touches, because that's not the way I work, and we're going to talk more about that. I don't want to limit their touches. I just want to make them understand what they are doing so they can get to the right conclusion of how many touches is necessary to do what they are trying to do. So they need to understand that, those principles, because it's not about the touches, it's not about anything else rather than executing the task. And the task here is to avoid this guy from stealing the ball, and we have to do it the most efficient way possible. That's it. So, pressure. Why does this guy have to press and I cannot correct attackers first? Because if there's no pressure to them, there's no reason, there's no true reason for a player to pass the ball. I ask you, in a game situation, your center back has the ball. He's got no pressure, and he's got 30 meters in front of him. Should he dribble forward or not? Or should he look for a pass? I think we all agree that if he has no pressure and he has 30 meters in front of him to attack and dribble, he should do so, right? The same way, progressing that idea, if my center back or my goalkeeper, if they have all the way until the other goal completely free for them to dribble and shoot to the goal, why not? Why wouldn't I do that? Why not to tell my players, hey, whenever you have a clear line between you and the goal where there's a space to be attacked, go for it. Okay, go for it. I want them to take the space. What I'm saying to them is forget about passing the ball if it's not needed. Your goal is to put the ball into the opponent's goal. It's not to pass, it's not to do anything else rather than to put the ball into the goal. So you have to do it the most efficient way possible. What is the first most efficient way possible? I dribble towards the goal. No complexity. I myself solve all the problems in the game. So that's why a player should not pass the ball if he has no pressure, because for me, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, if he can go on his own and finish, that's what I want. Good. So there's no reason for me to correct this player with the ball, no matter what he's doing, if this guy's not pressing him. If this guy is stopped in the middle, looking at him, maybe doing that or that to try to cover passes, again, there's no reason to pass. There's no pressure. Okay? So first thing I have to correct, this guy has to be applying intense pressure as fast as you can. Okay? You tell him, hey, your pressure has to be as fast as you can, because you are the one who is going to force that guy to avoid you. So the faster you go, the less time and less space this guy will have to assess the situation, decide, and execute. Okay? So pressure, first thing. Let's see if there's any doubts. With one defender rondos, I use the term value of pressure for what they should be learning, need to work intelligently to apply sufficient pressure to exceed the technical and tactical capabilities of the opponents, need to work intelligently to apply sufficient pressure. Exactly, perfect. With one defender rondos, value of pressure for what they should be learning. Great, I love that. So first thing, pressure. Okay, so we can establish that first we've intervened in defense. So I'm going to put a D here. So number one, correction on defense, it's pressure. Okay, so once this guy is running, the ball is here, he ran 100%. The guy's passed to that side, he ran 100%. The guy passed to that side, he goes 100%, changing his body orientation, of course, okay? And now the training is happening, okay? There's pressure, and the attacking players have to adapt to pressure, exactly like the real game, Every time your exercise is not exactly like the real game, I think you're not training the real game, okay? So this is exactly like the real game. So pressure has been corrected. Now we're going to correct something on attackers. So number two, attackers. So let's see what we're going to correct on attackers. So this guy is running 100%. We've analyzed that already. This guy passes the ball. Now, when this guy, let's say this guy, is always stepping on the ball and waiting for this guy to get as close as he can, because he's the funny one. We always have the funny one that is stepping on the ball and waiting for this guy to get as close as he can so he can pass the ball to the other, and he laughs a little bit and says, haha, I tricked you, la la la, whatever, right? And we know that's not efficiency. That's just doing whatever you want and thinking that making fun of your teammates is going to help you improve. That's not soccer, so you gotta unmotivate that kind of behavior, okay? So let's say this player is doing that. So you're gonna stop the training. You stop the training here. And you ask him, let's say his name is Johnny, okay? So let's put his name here. This guy is Johnny. Hey, Johnny, explain to me, how is that what you're doing, helping your team maintain possession? I think one of the only answers he would have to that is, well, I didn't lose the ball, right? Therefore, I kept the ball. Therefore, I did something good. I don't agree with that, because it's not just about maintaining possession. It's about maintaining the opponent as far away from the ball as we can, and as unmotivated to keep pressing as we can. Again, I will always be inserting psychological levels to the training sessions, okay? So by stepping on the ball and making fun of him, etc., you're not really inflicting a true damage that you can inflict in a game on him in terms of psychological stress, okay? So I want this guy to feel that he is never going to have that ball. I want this guy in the middle of the rondo to get as frustrated as he can by feeling that he will never, ever get the ball. And that's Johnny's job, and that's everyone else's other attacks' jobs. Okay? So I'm gonna talk to Johnny. Okay, Johnny, I understand your reasoning, okay? But let's think like this. You step the ball and you allow the defender to get as close to you as possible, right? So in order to execute your reasoning, you gave the opponent a lot of space and you gave up a lot of space to the opponent, right? And Johnny has to say, oh, well, yeah, I attract the opponent towards me, yes. Okay, let's see if that was advantageous for your teammates. Let's say the opponent came from this side because this teammate passed the ball to you, right? So he passed the ball to you, and the opponent came from this side. Let's say you just controlled and passed to the other side as the guy was already here, but not as close as he was to you. So you pass to the other guy. Do you think now your teammate here has more or less advantage than he had before when you stepped the ball and attract this guy until here? It's saying, do you think the distance from here, because he will have to do that curve, because you had the ball, you control, you pass, so he's going to have to do that curve. So you think it's easier for him to do that curve or to do that straight line here and press right away here? How do you think he's going to arrive here quicker? And John is going to say, well, maybe by stepping on the ball, I facilitated the opponent to arrive on the next pass earlier and with less effort, right? So then you say, see, Johnny, that's the way you know that your action is not giving advantage to the play. Rather, it's taking away advantage because you're only thinking of yourself. You're not thinking of the continuity of the play because those guys have to play too to your sequence, right? You can play here and it's a cyclical game, so those guys have to play too, and you are just facilitating the defender's job to get to them earlier because you stopped the ball. Okay, so now by doing that kind of interference in Johnny and other players that have this kind of behavior, you are unmotivating them to do that kind of behavior. Okay, whenever that happens, you can use this reasoning or any other reasoning you see that works with your players just to unmotivate them to repeat that behavior that just won't give advantage to the team. Okay, so here to attackers, if it's happening, right? If it's happening, we can say that we are building efficiency. Build efficiency. Okay. Build efficiency. That's it. Good. So now they're not doing that anymore. They're not wasting time anymore. So now we are back to the game. We are playing again. Okay? Okay, good. So now Johnny and everyone else is really trying to solve the game the most efficient way possible, because I just showed them that they have to be efficient in maintaining the ball as further away as they can from the opponent. They've understood that. Okay? So now they're passing the ball. What's the next thing I'm going to correct? Well, if they're not passing and receiving correctly with the correct technique, now the rondo allows a coach to correct technique, passing and controlling techniques. Okay, so instead of doing lines and cones without opponents to train the pass, train in rondos. And I'm explaining to you right now how to correct, control, and pass in rondos. So now this guy has the ball and he's using his right foot or left foot to pass to Johnny, and Johnny once controls with the left, then another time controls with the right, and everyone else is just controlling right and left because it is easier for them to control one way or the other. You see, they're not working into a pattern to always control one way or the other to give them advantage on the play. They're just controlling and passing. Let me make a stop here to see if there's any other question. Intelligent defenders will start applying pressure to force the ball to the weakest player outside. Exactly, perfect. I agree with that. Let's go back here. Please, more comments, more questions. I'm sure you have doubts, so ask so I can explain to you. So you see that there's no pattern in controlling and passing. Okay, so you, the coach, remember how many times I tell you that you have to have a clear idea of what you want from your players, and you have to have the experience enough to know what works and what doesn't work. Okay, so you can recognize in your players what they are doing that works and what they are doing that doesn't work. Okay, so when Johnny comes here and receives that ball from, let's call this other guy Charlie. Okay, So Johnny receives from Charlie, and he controls with his right foot. I think you can agree with me that if Johnny controls this ball with the right foot, most likely his body orientation was somewhat like that. So he can control this ball with the right foot, right? So Johnny is cornering himself by not him giving himself advantage to see the rest of the field. You can agree with me that Johnny's field of view is just this one. He can see here, he can see here probably, but he cannot see what's going on here. He doesn't have the information about this game, and he's not allowed to pass to this guy right now in a very efficient way because he has to turn all his body to the other side. He's going to lose a lot of time, move the ball from one foot to the other so he can pass to this guy, right? So whenever you see Johnny cornering himself, or any other player, cornering himself and giving himself disadvantage by not applying correct body orientation, you stop and you correct. So next stop, we're going to correct attackers again because we're trying to build efficiency in attackers. We just worked on their efficiency, builds mental efficiency so they know what they're doing. So step 3 is attackers again, build technical efficiency. I'm going to put technical and tactical efficiency. Okay? So we're building technical and tactical efficiency. Third step. So Johnny controlled, let's say Johnny controlled with his right foot. And he got cornered, and let's say he almost lost the ball, or he lost the ball. It's better if you can use situations where he lost the ball. So you can explain to him exactly what happens because he has the stimulus from the unsuccessful play that he tried and he failed, so he had that stimulus on his head, okay? So let's say he controlled with his right, and because he cornered himself, he could only play to Charlie again, and this guy stole the ball, okay? Stop the exercise. Stop the exercise, come back, go back, put the ball back to Charlie, set up the same situation that happened again, set up it on the previous pass before the mistake. And now you ask Johnny, okay, Johnny, do that again. So Charlie's going to do the same thing again and pass to Johnny. And Johnny receives the ball here. And then you stop. Johnny, okay, look at yourself. Can you see, let's say this guy's name is Mark. Can you see Mark? He's going to say, no, coach, I cannot see Mark. Can you pass to Mark, Johnny? No, coach, I cannot pass right now. In the same play, if I say pass, can you do one touch and pass to Mark? No, coach, I cannot pass to Mark. Okay, Johnny, so you see that your decision of coming to that play as you are with this body orientation is taking away information and options from you. You cannot see Mark and you cannot play to Mark. Now you're losing information and options. Yes or no, Johnny? Yes, coach, is correct. I cannot see Mark or play to Mark, so I agree that my body orientation is giving me somewhat disadvantage in the overall game. Okay, Johnny, is there any way you could do to receive that ball to keep being able to see Mark and play to Mark? We don't know if he's going to answer correctly, but I think that you can go on and on and on with questions until he says, well, you can just take the ball away maybe and say, okay, just reconfigure your body orientation right here in the same spot so you can see Mark. And you're going to do that. And you say, yes, correct. You can see Mark and you can play to Mark. Therefore, if that's the way you need to be to receive and to see and be able to pass to Mark, once Charlie has the ball, what leg do you think you should use to be able to see Mark, to keep being able to see Mark and play to Mark? Since he just controlled with the right leg and got stuck, it's most likely he's going to answer, oh, with my left leg. And then you say, correct. That's correct, Johnny. So now, Johnny, once you've received with the left leg, you agree with me that you can still see Mark, you can play to Mark, and you can just pass to Mark with your right leg. Correct? Yes or no? I think he's going to say, yeah, coach, it's very correct. Everything of that is possible. Okay, great. For the sake of the concept, because you don't want Johnny to get to the conclusion that when ball comes from Charlie, he has to control with the left. That's not the final conclusion. The final conclusion is, when the ball comes from Mark, Johnny, what leg should you use to control? And Johnny should say, right, coach, right foot. And then I pass to Charlie with my left foot. And you say, correct, Johnny. That's perfect. So Johnny, what are we doing when we're trying to receive the ball? We're trying to receive the ball with what leg always? Oh, the furthest leg away from where the ball comes from. So if the ball comes from my right, Johnny's right, I want to control with my left leg. Why, Johnny? Oh, because that guarantees me to have the correct body orientation, so to be able to play and see Mark. Perfect, Johnny. And when the ball comes from Mark, you can apply that same concept. There's no need to change any words. Ball with Mark, Johnny. Which leg should you use to control? Oh, the furthest leg away from Mark. Mark is on my left, right leg. Right leg. There, you control towards the space, the free space, and get the ball away from pressure. I think that's quite clear. Let me know if anyone has any questions. I agree with you how you're explaining this to Johnny. It becomes even more clear in two defender rondos when slow in play not only draws the pressure, but more importantly allows his cover best perfect. We can discuss this a little bit. And of course, in a full game, the entire defense is organizing with all wasted time of stepping on the... Exactly, perfect, Seth, exactly. If one guy is wasting time, then the entire opponent team is readjusting and thanking him to that extra second they had to readjust. Exactly, that's perfect. If you can introduce that concept to your players, even better. Thank you, Seth. So Johnny has understood that. Okay, he's always controlling with the furthest leg and passing with the other leg. So now he is forcing himself to maintain his body orientation, correct. So you can also introduce to Johnny that it's very important, Johnny, to maintain your body aiming to the middle of the exercise. So if you can arrive here and receive from Charlie a little like that, it's even better, because you're showing the opponent that you are not going to corner yourself and that you have free way to pass to Charlie. You're seeing exactly what Charlie is doing, if he's available or not, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so body orientation always to the middle of the play, gathering as most information as you can from the exercise. Okay, so that's the second here. Okay, so now every player... how do you train that? Okay, Dimitri, but my players are having a very difficult time controlling with one foot and passing with the other. Oh, by the way, you're training here ability with both legs. So in a rondo, another thing to correct, controlling technique, passing technique, and both feet technique. They have to do both feet here all the time. It's not acceptable that Johnny controls a ball from Mark with his left foot. Whenever he does that, knowing the concept and having practiced the concept, he has to go inside. I'm going to talk about that. I was saying, so Johnny is receiving with the right and passing with the left. What I was saying here right now. Okay, I'll just go on. So the pressure keeps going, and now they are controlling with one foot and passing with the other. Oh, okay. How do you train that that stimulus? You can tell the pressure to stop pressing. Let's say his name is Peter. I'm gonna say, hey Peter, stop pressing. And you guys on the outside, you're just going to spin the ball one way for like 3 cycles, okay? So Johnny passes to Mark, Mark passes to, let's say this guy's name is Arthur. So Mark passes to Arthur, Arthur controls with his left foot, passes with his right foot to Charlie, Charlie controls with his left foot, passes with his right foot to Johnny, Johnny does the same, left, right, 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 left, right. Tell them to do this as quick as possible for like 3 to 4 cycles, okay? Once they do it and you see that they're doing it correctly, they're going to do it wrong on the first and second tries, but then they get it right, and you say, okay, everyone got it. Everyone got it. And then now spin to the other side. pass left, control right, 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 pass left, etc., etc., etc. Okay? And then you ask the same thing. Everyone got it? Because I see you're doing it. If you're doing it, you got it. Okay? So control with the furthest leg and pass with the other. So right now, from now on, whenever you don't control with the furthest leg, no, you're going inside. Period. No limiting touches. Not telling them that not to do, limit them. You're not limiting them to do anything. You're just introducing a motivation for them to do the correct thing that we've all agreed that guarantees advantage on the game. We've all agreed already that body orientation is important and controlling with the furthest foot is important. So we cannot neglect it anymore. So anytime this happens in training and you, the coach, neglect it, it's now your fault that your team is not controlling with the furthest leg because you were incapable of putting this into their minds. Okay? Because you are accepting when they do not do that. Okay? Okay. So do that. So they've done it already. So we've correct pressure, we've correct attacking, right? The first steps of attacking. So we gave first weapons for pressure to press, because without him, there's no training. Now we give weapons to the attackers to overcome press. Okay? Now we have to give one more weapon to defenders so they can, again, try to overcome press, right? Okay, good. So the next weapon we are going to give the defenders is defensive stance. Okay? Because when you told Peter to run and press as hard as he can, he's just running. He's running here, running here, running here, running here. Most likely, when those guys start doing the correct technique, control furthest leg, pass with the other, they will be making Peter run in circles. Okay? If Peter is not familiar with the concepts of pressing, he's going to be running in circles. And when a player runs in circles in a 4v1 rondo, very hard to steal the ball, very hard. And you have to introduce concepts to him so he can help himself solve the situation. Okay? So defensive stance. So now you see that Peter is running in circles because attackers know how to efficiently move the ball from one another to maintain the ball away from Peter, using what we taught them to build technical and tactical efficiency by controlling with the first leg and maintaining the body orientation towards the middle. Okay? So now you're going to stop. Whenever you see Peter, always wait for the things to happen so you can correct them. Don't correct things that are not happening. Always use what's happening so your players can see the problem, can feel the problem, can remember the emotions they felt through the problem. It's very frustrating when a defender runs in circles. You can see in their face, you can see in their body language that they are already becoming frustrated. Okay? Stop the exercise, talk to Peter. Peter, stop. You see that they're running in circles? Sorry, you see that you are running in circles? They are making you run in circles? Peter, probably without breath. Yes, yeah, I see that. Okay, so what are you trying to do, Peter? Oh, I'm trying to steal the ball, but you told me to press as hard as I can. Yes, Peter, that's true. And you still have to press as hard as you can. But now let's start thinking about how you should press as hard as you can. Okay, coach. So, Peter, first, whenever you start running in circles, you've just seen that it doesn't work. True or false? Yeah, true. They have a lot of advantage because they can just keep spinning the ball on the same direction because I'm always 2 steps behind. Okay, so stop it. Whenever you find yourself running in circles, recollect to the middle. Go back to the middle and think again, because now you're just wasting energy. Oh, but then I won't be pressing. Hold on, man. I'm gonna give you more information. Okay, I'm gonna tell you how to press hard again by not wasting your energy. So you go back to the middle, and you try. You see that I told the attackers to give themselves advantage, right? To move the ball as furthest away as they can from you. You have to do the opposite. You have to do the opposite. You have to keep the ball as close as you can to yourself. That's what you're doing here. By trying to steal the ball, you're not just running to steal the ball. You're running first to face a 4v1. And you cannot face a 4v1. So you better try to transform it into a 3v1 or a 2v1. Okay? But first, on that first step, you're just going to correct the defensive stance, because most likely there are times where Peter is able to steal the ball, but because he's just rushing into the ball, he's just pressing without a defensive stance, he's not being able to correctly press the ball because he's going rushing to the ball. So this guy can quickly pass to the other side because Peter's not offering a little resistance here to make the attacker doubt on where to pass to one side or the other. Peter's not coming here very close and then assessing his pace, changing his pace so he can see if the pass is going one side or the other, so he can actually corner the players. He's just pressing. So that's what you're correcting. You're going to correct Peter's defensive stance, sideways, one leg in front of the other, with his center of gravity a little down so he can have more stability and move quicker with his feet. Okay? So one foot step of the other, you're kind of sideways with a little down, a little of your center of gravity, a little down so you can attack and go back quickly. Okay? That's defensive stance. If that's not enough for defenders, for Peter here, to recollect his advantage, then you're gonna tell him how to tactically recover advantage. So seek tactical. Seek, no, it's not seeking. It's creating defensive, no, tactical advantage. Okay, Peter. Okay, so I see that I taught you defensive stance, but you're still taking too long to steal the ball, so that is not enough for you, because maybe Mark, Arthur, and Charlie are very good, and Johnny are very good, and they're executing the concepts very well. So now Peter needs one more information: create tactical advantage. So now, Peter, let's see. It's a 4v1. Okay, you see that attackers are always trying to use the most players they can, because the more players they have, the less advantage you have, right? So the opposite is true. The less players they have, the more advantage you have. So that's what you have to seek. You have to seek in a rondo to exclude players from the rondo. So exclude players from the rondo. So how do I do that, coach? Asks me Peter. Well, as Johnny passes to Charlie, you can just do that. So you force Charlie to pass back to Johnny. So when Johnny passes to Mark, you came here a little bit and you come here a little bit, because you want Mark to not be able to pass to Arthur. So you're making Mark, Johnny, and Charlie play with each other, not being able to play with Arthur. That's your first step. Oh, coach, it's not that easy. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying that's what you need to do. Okay, so we're going to try to do that. So we have to go as fast as possible towards Johnny. In a way, if you go from here, you can see that Johnny can pass to Charlie and Charlie can pass to Arthur. So you need to press a little more towards the middle. As Johnny passes to Charlie, you can quickly avoid Charlie from passing to Arthur and getting a little closer to Charlie. So when Charlie passes to Johnny, you maybe are going to just be a little away from Johnny, and then you're going to force Johnny to pass to Mark, but then you can force Mark kind of here to pass back to Johnny. What you're looking for is one little mistake. You're trying to force them and raise your intensity of pressure and raise the amount of mental effort you are demanding from them, so they can drive themselves into any micro control mistake or passing mistakes or any movement mistakes that will happen here. Okay? Any movement mistakes that will happen here. That's what you're looking for. Because after you've reduced the game from a 4v1 to a 3v1, now you want to reduce the game from a 3v1 to a 2v1, if you can. Because if Mark and Johnny are only played to themselves, of course you're going to correct support too. I didn't put it here, but you can put it here to correct support. So when Charlie has the ball, Johnny has to get close here. When Johnny has the ball, Mark has to get close here. For example, if press is here, then Mark can do that, right? You can correct all of that, and you have to correct all of that. I'm assuming it's corrected. So pass with right to Mark, so you can come here. Johnny will move a little bit here just to offer you option. As he moves here, you try to move here. So Johnny has to pass to Mark again. So you do that again. So now it's a 2v1, not a 4v1 anymore. And now your probabilities of stealing the ball are higher. So now Peter knows exactly what he's looking for. What is he looking for? Take players away from the play, reestablish numerical equality or a less numerical inferiority. Okay, let's see how we are so far. Any questions here? I agree to force them is often necessary. My question is addressed to no. Dimitri, I really appreciate how you stress the importance of using. Let's see. What's the first, please? Oh, there are a lot of comments here. Hold on. Of course, in a full game, I agree. Where did I stop? Intelligent defenders will start applying pressure. Agree with how you're explaining this, Johnny. Yes. Of course, in a full game, the entire defense, exactly. Perfect discussion of body shape, orientation. You mentioned earlier the player has the ball, the center back. This helps players understand how we want to pass forward when we can. Exactly. Hello, guys. It is possible that for some players it is going to be really hard to use their weak foot leg. What tips would you give them in order to help them do it? For those who doesn't know, Jordi Blanco is my mentor, so he's helping us all here to think even further. Jordi, I find it's very useful to have a few mantras or motto for your team. Ask any of my players of any age, what do we say about Rondo? And they will tell you we take pride in our Rondo. Perfect, that's awesome. During every technical warm-up, I also yell at least once or twice, we don't raise one-footed players in surf. Exactly, that's perfect. Players only develop their weak foot by being forced to use it a lot. I agree with that. I would cheer on everything a youth player uses their weak foot at the right time, regardless of the result. Exactly, that's very good to praise them on whatever progression they are doing from going from where they were to going to where they want to be. So if the guy misses something with his bad foot, praise him. He tried, man. Praise him. Exactly, I agree with you, Seth. Maybe especially when they missed that easy goal. Exactly. It took me a while to figure it out. I had to change from top chats to live chat to see other viewers' comments. Oh, that's good. So top chat to live chat, guys. That's the trick. I really appreciate how you stress the importance of using the best term, seek versus create. Exactly. Shows you really have mastered the psychological aspect of coaching. Thank you very much, Seth. That's exactly the point. You have to be very clear on what you're doing. Seeking means you don't have responsibility over what's happening, and creating means you have responsibilities. Completely different terms. And it's very normal that when you're talking fast or whatever, right? You say one bad word, just correct it. Hey, players, we have to seek that. Oh, no, sorry. It's not seeking because we have the responsibility of creating. Sorry, it's creating. That's it. I agree to force them into often necessary. My question is addressed to know what kind of support coaches could provide to those players that must use the weak one. Yes or yes. Looking forward to Dimitri's answer on strategies to develop the weaker foot. I use first 30 minutes of every practice with each player on ball executing a battery of touches to help them there. Let me understand Jordi's question. I agree to force them. It's often necessary. Force them. My question is addressed to know what kind of support coaches could provide to those players that must use the weak one. Yes or yes. I'm not correctly understand this, Jordi. Sorry, man. Could you phrase this somewhere, some way else? Because I'm not quite understanding. Let me answer Seth. Looking forward to Dimitri's answer on strategies to develop the weaker foot. Seth, I developed them on those exact exercises by doing that, what I told you, with the opponent stopped, forcing them to control left, pass right, control left, press right, etc. I think this is already the first step. And on the other exercise, you're gonna see how I transferred this same behavior to the other exercises. So you're gonna see that they're always forced to their own conclusion. Again, we've all concluded together that this is the most efficient way to maintain possession, right? Using both foot, using both feet, always the furthest feet away from the ball to control. So I'm just going to bring that from the rondo to every other exercise. So whenever they do not apply the correct body orientation and control with the closest foot, I'm going to stop. If I need to stop the exercise, I stop if that's a recurring mistake. Or just correct that player himself without stopping the exercise. Or just transferring the possession of the ball to the other team if I see a team is repeating that too many times and I cannot keep stopping the exercise because I've just corrected it. Okay, so if I stop the exercise to correct something, I'm going to avoid to stop that exercise to correct that same something again. For example, correcting controlling with both feet whenever it is most efficient to control, whenever it is able to apply the concept that we've just got to the conclusion that is most efficient to control with the furthest leg. So whenever a player in any training exercises show me they are controlling with the closest foot because of a bad body orientation or whatever, and I have already stopped the exercise to explain that and point that out and show to them and make them agree with me that that is wrong, now whenever they do that again, I just automatically add a new ball to the exercise, to the other team, and tell them, ball lost because Johnny didn't control with the furthest foot. I don't care about his arguments. I don't care about anything anymore. They all agreed with me that this is the most efficient. So they should all be seeking to do the best way possible. That's their job. I can't do anything. I can do everything. I'm the coach, but they are their own coaches too. So once they realize something is the most effective way to solve a problem, I'm helping them to always try to repeat that. But I need them to help themselves to always try to repeat that same thing, because otherwise I'm fighting against them, because I'm trying to make them give themselves advantage and they are trying to give themselves disadvantage. So we are in different tones there. Okay? Hope I've answered your question. I mean, we all agree that they have to use the weak leg because we force them, but I guess that we can help them to do it. Yeah, that's what I said, Jordy. I said that before we have concluded, all of us in that training here, that it is best for them with Johnny here, it is best for them to control with the furthest foot, because it allows him to see mark and see more information and play and have a one more option, etc., etc. So we agree with them already. So once we all agree, they've agreed with me on that. So once we all agree, now this is a rule we establish. Okay, we all agree that we cannot punch each other because that's not a group, right? So now we are forcing each other not to punch each other, right? So once we've all agreed that, oh yeah, that's true. Always when I control with my furthest leg, I obligate myself to have the correct body orientation. I have more options, I have more time, I have more information. So now, once you know that, now it's up to you to force yourself to do that, because otherwise you're going against what you believe, right? So it's just that forcing. It's just going, respecting what you've just said and agreed that you believe in, okay? Hope I answered your question. I'm thinking in body position, be active over the strong leg. Okay. Yeah, I think I've answered your question. Yes, I also didn't quite understand Jordy's last. We do 30 minutes technical. Yeah, okay. Looking forward. Okay, I think this is answered, so I can move on. So we've trained all of that. So the defender is now creating tactical advantage, trying to take players away from that. Okay, so now we're gonna go to a more complex concept to attackers. Now we have a defender who's playing in another level against the attackers, because the attackers, they just know that they have to build mental efficiency, which is not step the ball, do not do anything that will just give yourself disadvantage, so avoid disadvantage, right? And then this is body orientation, controlling with the furthest leg, okay? And moving to support. Okay, moving to support. Arthur is going to move here to support Mark a little bit. Charlie can seek a pass here or here, depending on Peters, right? Exactly. So now you see that they're playing based, they're thinking on their actions so far. And I've just introduced to the defender a way to think on how he can shape the actions from the other team. So you see that they are in different levels right now, right? Attackers are working on their own problems, which are controlling the ball, moving to support, maintaining body orientation, not giving himself disadvantage. It's all about them. The defenders, so far, I have introduced one aspect that is not about him anymore. The first is pressure. Run as fast as you can. The second is about himself, and only himself. Defensive stance. Correct your defensive stance and don't rush into the ball. Give times, change your paces so you can trick the opponent. And then I added one more layer of concepts to the defender, which is now forget about you, forget what you are doing to yourself, and think what you're doing to your opponents. They have 4, you are 1. You want to take them away until you can get to a 1v1 if possible. Oh, so now I can manipulate my opponents. That's another level of playing. So now I'm introducing that other level of playing to my attackers. Now my attackers have to know that all of that they are doing is to give them efficiency into doing what? Getting Peter frustrated and away from the play, and always fighting with Peter against that motto that Peter is trying to create. If Peter is trying to take players away from the play, then attackers have to be trying to do the opposite, to introduce players into the play. Okay, so create tactical advantage. It's the same thing, the same concept, but now to attackers. So as defenders trying to reduce numerical superiority, blues are trying to enforce numerical superiority. So what they have to do is Johnny and Mark, if they are here, they've been cornered by Peter, okay? Now they have to be aware that what they want to do is attract Peter towards one of them as fast and as close as they can, so the other one, for example, they attract Peter towards Johnny. So Mark is able to get Arthur into the game and devolve and give back the 3v1 that they've lost to Peter back to the game. And then maybe Arthur can put Charlie back into the game and reestablish the 4v1. So now it's a battle of numerical superiority and inferiority. It's just that. The game's about that. We're always fighting to maintain more players in the zone because we want to be more efficient in maintaining that space. That's it. Okay? Is that clear? Let me know if that's clear. Okay, my apologies, I arrived late today. Oh, no problem, Jordi. Specific to the body orientation lesson here, I also make sure that Charlie knows his pass should be delivered accurately to Johnny's left foot. Exactly, Seth, thank you very much. I always forget to tell that. Thank you very much. In every class I've given about this, I always forget. In my book, I'm going to talk to you guys about that later. I forget to write that, and I have to write that down. So exactly, Seth, thank you very much. This is the importance of interactive stuff. I don't remember everything, so thank you very much, Seth. It's very important, as Seth is telling us, to tell Johnny, Mark, Arthur, and Charlie to not only they have to control with the furthest leg, but when they are passing, they have to facilitate that action. So Charlie, when passing with his right to Johnny, he has to aim for Johnny's left foot. So to give Johnny advantage and to give himself advantage again, because again, they are in the same team. Perfect, Seth. Thank you very much. Any other questions on that? Clear, Dimitri. Great discussion on rondo principles. Great. Awesome. So let's move on to the next exercise. So, oh, no. Sorry. This is just one rondo. Now, you were the coach, and you have all those rondos, because, again, I told you this is a 18-player session. I put it somewhere here? No. Okay, this is it. 18 players. We have 18 players. 18 players. I think this is somewhere. 18 players. So you're now here. Now the dynamic of the session, because I told you I'm going to explain exactly everything that you have to do. So everything is everything. So let's do everything. So this is the ball. Let's say this is the ball. Okay, so you're the coach, and your obligation is to have all the balls with you. Organized, okay? Not doing them organized here because it's too small, but you get the idea, right? They are here. If you can have one ball in your arms, ready to play, even better, okay? So you're here managing all this training session. Oh, another very important thing that I didn't mention. Rondos have to be cyclical, okay? So whenever Peter steals the ball, he has to quickly... What happens in the game? Let me ask you, what happens in the game? When Peter steals the ball, when your team steals the ball from the other team, does the other team stop and wait for your team to set up attack again? No, right? They're going to press you right away. So this has to happen in a rondo. So Peter, when you steal the ball from Johnny, your first task is to try and steal it back. Fight for it. Fight for it. Press Johnny. Now you're defending and you're going to press. And now Peter, whenever you steal the ball from Johnny, your first task now is trying to find a way to pass to Mark, to Charlie, and to Arthur. Does that make sense? Yes, sir. That makes sense, coach. Okay. Peter, let me ask you. Once you've stolen from Johnny and Peter passes to Mark, let's say Peter had time, okay, to decide, and he passed to Mark. I'm going to stop. Stop the exercise. Peter, why did you pass to Mark? Oh, coach, you told me that I have to collect the ball and pass to a teammate. So I saw Mark here. He was the first option I saw. I turned to him, I passed to him, and then I went to my space. I took my space here, and now it's Johnny's time to press. So Johnny's going to press. Okay, Peter. So now Johnny's going to press from here. And do you agree with me that he's very close to Mark, and he can get to Mark very fast? Oh yeah, I agree, coach. He's very clear. He's very close here. So Peter, how could you recover the ball and put the ball furthest away possible from Johnny? Oh, maybe I could play to Arthur. Oh, so this is a new concept. Peter, so do you agree with me that all the time that we steal the ball from a player, we want to set up a new play very far away from that player in a rondo? Makes sense. Why does that make sense? Well, because Mark, if Johnny's here and Mark has less time and space to think, all that Arthur has more than Mark is the same time and space. So you want to give your teammates the most time and space you can for them to solve situations better. That's it. That's it. So now Peter understands that first, after he presses, he collects the ball. After he collects, he recovers the ball. Johnny or whoever lost the ball is going to press him. His job now is to put the ball to safety. What does he want? What are his intentions when recovering the ball and making a safe pass? We already know, recover the ball, safe pass. What are your intentions to execute that? My safe pass has to be as furthest away as it can from the presser, from the guy that presses, that applies pressure, period. Okay? So now the rondo is cyclical. So you don't never ever, I steal the ball, now I stop, I go walking here, this guy go walking toward the middle, now this guy is making fun, now this guy is moving his hair, now this guy is taking something out of his cleats. No. The game never stops. Why? Because the real game never stops if a team just steals the ball from the other. This is not a reason to stop the game. Okay? So rondos do not stop. Okay? So once we've understood that, the rondos are not stopping. I've made 2 3v1 rondos. If you are, we can discuss this some other day, but basically you can only pass to the side, okay? So if there's a ball here and this guy passes to this guy, okay, this guy has to move here and he can only receive here. He cannot receive here, okay? He has to move here. So if this guy passes to this guy, now this guy has to move here. It's just a 3v1 rondo with support. You train a little support. So if you have 18 players and you want to set up rondos, you can build 2 4v1 rondos and 2 3v1 rondos, and you can put your best players or your players you know that are going to execute this task better here and leave the others here, and then go switching. You stop the training with 5 minutes, you switch this guy with this guy so everyone can experience the 3v1, and of course you're going to be taking a little more attention to the 3v1s because most likely more balls are going to go out, okay? And then, how do you coach this training with all those rondos around you? You're going to tell them very clearly, and believe me, I did that with under 9s, third and fourth level in Catalonia. Okay, not first and second, third and fourth, and they all did this perfectly. So I'm not teaching you out of nowhere. Okay, tell them, guys, first, you are responsible for the intensity of the training. Okay, I'm gonna be here shouting at pressure and shouting everything of that I see, because I've just introduced all of those aspects with you and you've all agreed with me on all of that. So I'm going to be here trying to recognize all of that in 4 rondos and correcting you from here. Okay, this is a more advanced level. Okay, and whenever the ball goes out, you don't do anything. You don't go for the ball. You ask me, coach, ball, period. 2 words, coach, ball, and I'll give you a ball. So if a ball goes out here, coach, ball, I do this. He has a ball already, keeps playing. Coach, ball, this guy, coach, ball, I pass the ball to him, I pass the ball to him, I pass the ball to him. And all of them can keep the exercises going. This is intensity. Go, 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 never stop, never stop. Forget the ball, ask me a ball, I'll give you a ball. Go, keep playing, keep playing, keep playing. Okay? Once I run out of balls, I stop. Stop. Everyone, collect the balls quickly. Everyone at least 1 ball in their hands and bring them to me. Place them in front of me and take your position back in the rondo, the same position you had before. So I run out of balls. One of them runs out of balls. I say, stop. collect balls, bring balls. They quick, pick the balls on their hands, put in front of me. Oh, everything is running, never walking. I don't want them to walk because we don't have time to waste. Okay, if you're wasting time of your session with players walking to get balls, I don't think you're understanding what we are doing here yet. Okay, there's no time to waste with that. You go running, you get the ball, you put the ball here, you go back running to your position so we can restart the training once again. Clear? Is that clear? Please answer me. Transition, clear, great discussion in Rondo. Transition, quick restarts for later if you want, but wondering your thoughts on playing Rondo without cons grids. I don't like it because I like them to have, because otherwise, Seth, they can be too much backwards and they can increase the size of the Rondo, and this makes it difficult for the defender to get the ball. For example, here, if I put 4 cones here, I want them to be actually in the line. Thanks for that comment. I want to be in the line. Okay, so they have to respect the line, so they cannot be going backwards or inside. They're just moving in the line. Okay, there's no line in the floor, just 1 cone here, 1 cone here, 1 cone here, 1 cone here. Okay, hope that makes sense. Let me know if everything makes sense so far. I don't use them as I want the Rondo circle to gradually get smaller after we've connected 5-6 passes to challenge the player's ability. Exactly, that's awesome, especially as the defender youth tires. Exactly, yeah, you can do that. After 6 passes, everyone takes 1 step inside. That works a lot well. Makes total sense. Thanks for that. I've used that too, and it works. Okay. So what Seth is doing is after 6 passes from those guys, 1 step inside, and now they're playing inside to make it more difficult for the attackers and more intense for the overall configuration of the play. Okay, so I hope everything is clear here of what is your position, what do you do with the balls, how is the dynamic of all the rondos, how is the dynamic of each rondo, how is the dynamic of attackers, how is the dynamic of the defenders, how to bring them from 0 to 100% intensity and focus and concepts. Okay, now what we're going to be doing is moving forward with the progression of everything we've just worked in this exercise. Okay, so moving forward, let me get those guys with arms here. Let me get this one and copy them here. And now we're moving on to the second exercise. Let me drink some water. I'm using quite basic exercises here. Wow, we are 1 hour into the webinar already. This is gonna be a lot of value, man. Those guys who are missing it, I don't think I'm gonna leave this for everyone to watch later, because you could just be here learning with us and you're not. I don't think you're very interested in learning. So let's move on. This is the second exercise, and I set it up like this so we can see exactly what's happening. So this guy's gonna come here. It's gonna become the coach. Let me get the coach from the other session here, because I have balls already. Let me put the coach on the other side then. Yeah, let's say, let me group this there. So this exercise, this is my second exercise in a progression. Okay, you can see still no lines, no cones, no zigzagging, no jumping, nothing of that. Okay, everyone is on the field. So now I have 3 teams of 6 players. I still have 18 players, never leaving any player out. Okay, let me see if there are any questions or comments here. No, nothing. Okay, good. So, okay, 2 zones. First, the wheres. Okay, I'm gonna explain this to my players. Wheres, cone, 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 cone. You can put 1 cone here and 1 cone here. Make sure you put 1 cone here, 1 cone here, 1 cone here, so they see that line. Maybe in another color. Cone, cone, cone. You can put maybe 1 cone here, 1 cone here if they have difficulties. The less cones you use, the better. You don't want to cone, 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 cone. That's not needed. Okay, 1, 2, 3 cones is okay. 1, 2, 3 cones. 1, 2, 3 cones. 1. I like to put 1, 2, 3. A line of 4, counting the ones on the wide side, wides, and 2 on the inside, so they can see it's a line here. 1 cone here, 1 cone here, 1 cone here, 1 cone here, 1 cone here. Okay. Good. Avoid 5 cones, 10 cones, well, 1,000 cones. That's not needed. Okay. So that's the where. Okay, you point the cones. Oh, guys, where? This is the zones, 2 zones. You can see the line in the middle. You can see the big rectangle. You can see the line in the middle. You can see how the line in the middle divides the big rectangle in 2 rectangles. Okay, those are the 2 zones. Any doubts on that? No, coach, we see the 2 zones. Great. Blue team, go to the, I'm here, no? To the zone on my right. Red team, go to the zone on my left, period. They go, they stay there, okay? And then I'm going to introduce yellows, for example. Yellows, I want 5 players in the red zone. Why is it copy? Oh, who cares? I want 5 players in this zone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I want 1 player in the blue zone. Okay, so let me put the coach where it should be, right here. Okay, so you are in the best position to correct the exercise with all the balls around you, 2 balls on your arms, 1 on each arm, or 1 ball in your arm, 1 in your foot, so you're ready to introduce a new ball. Okay, so then I'm going to explain to them. What I want from you in this exercise is, and I'm going to explain exactly why I'm going to introduce that new rule. Okay, is this? So I have a ball here. I want the red team to avoid the yellow team from stealing the ball. The red team has then to dribble the ball over the line or make a pass into the space, a through pass to the line. That means, for example, this guy's running and he receives a ball on the other side. Right? I think the name in English is that counts as a through pass, right? If not, just a pass into the space on the other zone. Whatever works is the right way to say it, okay? So, 2 ways to cross the line: dribbling or a pass to the space that another player receives on the other zone. That's the only 2 ways Reds can go to the other zone and deliver the ball once there to Blues. So this guy can just dribble the ball, for example. He's here, he goes, dribbles the ball, and passes to Blue, and goes back. Once that happens, now 5 yellows, including the yellow who was in the other field, he is the first one to press because he's the closest one to the pressure, goes to the other side. And this guy, the last one, the one furthest away, stays here to defend the space. Okay? Period. That's what's happening. Okay? Good. Then here, same principle. You can just say that's the what, that's the where, that's the what. The what to the yellows. Once you recover the ball from blues or reds, let's say this guy recovered the ball, you just pass the ball to the other team. There's no need to dribble. Recover the zone and let the other team press. Now blues are going to press. Okay? And 1 stood back. Yes? Good. Any doubts so far? Anyway, to keep for later if you want, but wondering your thoughts on playing rondo without con. I answered that already. Can understand your perspective there and can still make them get smaller. Exactly. Anyway, you keep rhythm of the rondo and not to be able the time being and responsible to introduce balls. Anyway, to keep the rhythm of the rondo and not to be able all the time being the responsible to introduce balls. Oh yeah. You could just leave balls in a higher level where your players are responding even better. You can leave some balls around every rondo, Jardy, so they can just pick the balls on their own. Okay, so yeah, that's another way. So you can control all the balls and send them balls, or just surround their rondos with balls, so they themselves can collect the balls and restart playing. Yeah, Jardy, I use what I call rolling rondo game, where the players are responsible to rapidly recreate their team shape wherever the ball goes after losing possession. And I make sure the players understand how important it is for us to be able to rapidly create advantageous team shape in transition. That's good. Advantage is always the answer. Yes. So good. Let's keep going here. So I've answered them the most crucial questions, what and where. And now what do? I tell them play. Okay? So now they will be playing here, 18 players in a cyclic game, which is a global game. This is a global possession game with 3 teams and 2 zones. Okay? No lines, no one stops. Everyone is doing exactly the same they learned in here. Okay? So I move to here. And I'm gonna see how they're doing it. Okay, let's say first play, Reds didn't do it. It's the same concept, okay? I just let them play for 2 to 3 minutes. The amount of time necessary, I see what kinds of concepts they are lacking, what concepts they are not executing correctly, right? And in my head, I already have the most basic concepts they have to know to correctly create chances in this kind of exercises. And you know too, it is width and depth first. Okay, so the first thing I'm analyzing in my players as I let them play freely is, can they use the space in their favor or not? That's the first thing they need to know, how to use the space in their favor. So let's say after 2 minutes, I see that no one is talking to anyone else how to correctly open space and use the space, and Reds are doing like this when they could be using space here, for example, here, here, and here. For example, like this. This is a much better setup for Reds if they want to maintain possession. There's a lot of space to maintain possession here. Let's say yellows are maintaining like this. So I just watch for a little bit and see if they can correct themselves and understand and separate themselves and see if they can understand. For example, it's likely that they will do that, but not that. And you have to correct it because there's a space being lost here. And you cannot just neglect it. So perfectionism is very important because the concept is not halfway done if it's not done if it's halfway done. Okay, so this is not width. This is width. Yes, makes sense? Okay. So you're just watching if they can use space or not. So the first thing you're going to correct, once you're assuming that pressure is correct. Okay, we've seen already that pressure is the first thing we correct, because without pressure there's no exercise. Correct? No pressure, no exercise. Okay, so we are here correcting pressure. Sorry, making sure pressure is the most intense as possible. So blues are very intense, blah 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 blah, and they steal the balls from reds, steal the ball. Reds steal the ball from yellows, yellows steal the ball from blues. So no one's being able to maintain possession. Okay, so pressure is working well. So now width and depth. So now let's build a new one here because this is not as individual as the other was. So now attackers are width plus depth. This is going to be the theme of one of my next posts. Okay, width and depth. So you're going to make your teams understand the space like this, right? Oh, so you have 6 guys. Why not put 5 outside and 1 inside, and maybe you can change positions on the inside, or maybe 4 outside and 2 inside, for example, like this. You could work on that too. Just not trying to be very systemic yet. I'm going to show you how to do a systemic version of this exercise right after. So, for example, this is another way to correctly use space. They should be in different heights here so they can create all the triangles. So, for example, the ball is in with this one. This guy can come here. This guy can come here. This guy can come here. So there are a lot of this triangle. As this guy approaches here, that's just this triangle. You can see that there are many ways to maintain possession here just by making your players understand to use width and depth. Okay. And support from the rondo. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. This is just like a rondo, same movements as a rondo. So you can transfer everything they did here to support, etc., and the body orientation and the foot. Everything it will be applied here the same way. So once you arrive here, make sure everything here is very clear, because then you don't waste time correcting it again in another exercise that applies the same exact concepts. Okay? So once you come here, same concepts have to be applied. So you can stop once, maybe twice, just to remember them. Guys, it's the same. It's the same game. Nothing changes. It's just a little more complicated, a little more complex, but the concepts are the same. Okay? So let's say they're doing it correctly. They have width and depth. And now the other team is pressing and never stealing the ball. They're never stealing the ball. So they went from stealing the ball all the time and the team with possession never collecting it again. Sorry, never being able to maintain the ball and bring the ball to the other side. For example, here this guy receives and passes and dribbles and passes to the other side, etc. Okay, so blue is all the time pressing. Blue has come here, pressed, didn't steal. Come here, pressed, didn't steal. Come here, pressed, didn't steal. Stop the training. Something is wrong. Okay, so now always, you are a coach, you are recognizing things. Exercises will not train for you. Forget that. Don't put the exercise and stay there and get your phone and look for what kinds of posts your family did. Dude, forget it. You have to be there watching what they're doing and understanding what are their problems so you can help them. Okay? So, blue didn't recover the ball for 3 transitions in a row, so you stop training. Okay, and now you're going to intervene in defense again. So 3, defense. So once you have pressure and once you have the concepts that we've learned here, okay, defensive stance, creating tactical advantage, now we have to introduce concepts of pressing in group. Okay, so pressing together or as a block. Put here as a block. Okay. So now you're going to see that maybe the ball is here and one blue is here, the other blue is right here, and there are 3 pressing and they can easily do that. This guy comes here, receives the ball and goes to the other side. Okay, blah, 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 blah. And you can see that this guy on the other side of the zone, the other zone, is not really paying attention. He's not being very much intense in trying to avoid reds from dribbling or passing to the space here. He's just mildly pressing here. So you're going to tell everyone, okay, stop. Let's say this is Johnny again. Johnny, don't you see your team is trying to steal the ball? Oh, yeah, I see. Yeah, they're pressing there. Yeah. Do you think here you're helping them to avoid reds from maintaining possession? You are not helping? Or what are you doing here, actually? Why are you here? You can ask him, why are you here, Johnny? Okay, so if your team is here trying to steal the ball, why are you here? You wait for his answer. We don't know. It's probably not going to make sense because there's no reason for him to be here. So you just wait and try to convince him that he shouldn't be here. So, no, coach, I'm trying to, if they steal the ball, maybe they can pass to me. Okay, but have they stolen the ball yet? No. So why are you not helping? Do you think only 4 players, when you have 5, are enough to steal the ball from 6? Or it's better to use 5, all of them, 100% of the players available to try to steal the ball? What is better? To use just some percent or to use all of them? What is better? Oh, I think to use all of them, we have increased opportunities to steal the ball. Okay, great. So let's use all of them. So, Johnny, where do you think you should be in order to help your team steal the ball from reds here? Let him say. I don't know, I think I could be here. And you say, I think it makes more sense, Johnny. So praise him. It's not very correct, but praise him. I think it's more correct than what you did before because now you're closer to the zone of the ball. And I see that you're trying to create a numerical advantage here. So that's good. But you think that's the best space you could be to help your team? I mean, don't you think those guys are already forcing this guy to go backwards, for example? Oh yeah, I think so. And don't you think this guy can quickly do that? He was already here, right? Oh yeah, I think so. So don't you think if this guy moves here and receives that ball, he's going to get away with it? Could be. So why not you just fill the spaces and create a structure where you can help your team try to anticipate more plays from the opponents and try to better fill the spaces so the opponent has no way out other than the ways you force them to go. Coach, makes a little more sense because now I'm anticipating the next steps because if this guy passes to this guy and this guy gets a little close, he has to pass back and he has to move out of here, for example. And this guy can just do that. So this guy, if he wants to help, he has to do all of that. And now there's no width anymore. So it's now an advantage for us, exactly. Or this guy can just move out. So we can keep track of him a little bit so this one can get in, right? And receive that ball here, for example, or whatever. what you're trying to see here, to make them see here, is that pressing together is always better than not pressing together as a block. Okay? Adding more players to the zone of the ball is always going to give you more advantage to steal the ball than not doing so. Okay? This is the first point. The second point is making sure to them that, again, on defense, pressure plus cover. Because now there's not only one pressing, there are two pressing. So if this guy presses, whenever there's press, that's a question I make most of the times when I begin training a team. If there's pressure, there is cover. For example, so this guy's covering behind to the side, this guy's covering behind to the side. So if he passes here, quickly. Press, cover, cover. Press, cover, cover. Press, cover, cover. Okay? Just the structure, the concepts. Where's press? Where's cover? Show them on the field. Ask them to move. Move here. Press this guy. Okay, how can I cover him? What is covering? Oh, covering is adding one more player between the opponent and their goal. What is their goal in this drill? Oh, to cross the line by dribbling. They have to cross that line by dribbling or passing. So their goal is to come here. So what is cover? Is to add one more layer of pressure between pressure and their goal, between the opponents and their goal. So this is cover. Whenever this guy is between the ball and the line and not the first line of pressure, he is cover. Is that clear? Good. So we make it clear for them what is cover. Okay, most players don't know exactly what cover is. So explain to them. Okay? So now you've trained pressure, you've corrected width and depth, you've corrected pressing together as a block, and you've corrected press and cover. Let's see if there's questions here. With depth without conceding control of the center of the planes. Perfect, exactly. It's not man marking, it's zone marking. Like this exercise a lot. Love it, Dimitri. On mantras, I just tell my players to put your rondo hats on exactly when they are using the concepts. Exactly. Awesome. Guys, I have to go. Bye, Jordy. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Dimitri, for your knowledge. Also, thank you, Brian. Oh, it's Seth, actually, for the interactions. Waiting for the next webinar. Great. Jordy, you've done a wonderful job as Dimitri's mentor. Enjoyed the discussion and look forward to the next ones. That's awesome, guys. Well, let's keep going here. So this is good. So now your pressure is correct. They are pressing and covering. Your attack is somewhat correct. They have width and depth. So now probably you know that defense is going up now. Going up, I mean in terms of the efficiency of the execution, right? You're always trying to first, you watch them. I'm too dark here in my screen, right? Let me put lights here. Hold on. This is better. Okay, I think this is better. Yeah, now you can see me. Yeah, now you can see me. Good. So what you're doing first, as you let them play freely, you're trying to assess which one of them, the defense or offense, is developing better in the exercise. This is performance, okay, level of performance. So let's say I started correcting pressure, right? So let's say attackers were better than defenders. So I help defenders because attackers already have advantage, okay? By the free concepts, by the free play that they've been given and the concept that they have originally or from the last exercise or whatever, they've showed me that attacker is gaining advantage over defense. So what do I have to, where do I have to recognize problems first? Defense. I want to help defense. I want to bring defense up. Okay, so now I stimulate. I do not let my players get frustrated. They always see that I'm helping them, that me as a coach, I'm leading them to a better performance. And I show them by doing that kind of ladder correction. Always defense, then attack, then defense, then attack, then defense, then attack. Okay, that way they see the progression of the concepts and how important the concepts are when taken in consideration their hierarchy, okay, and applied correctly, because they can see the advantage they gain. Okay, this is a way for you to get your players to be convinced of your idea using that kind of system. Okay, so defense is down, I correct pressure. Defense up. So now I help attackers, width and depth. Up. Now I correct defenders. Defend as a block and press together. Pressure and cover. A little more. Now I have to help attackers, right? What is there else to help attackers with? Well, support, right? Understand me space. Space, let's put space and support. Okay. Why did you put here, Dimitri, space? Oh, I didn't put attackers here. Why did you put here space and support? Well, space because I want to cross that line. How? By dribbling or passing to the space that someone has to receive here, right? I'm not passing directly to the to the other team. Okay, I cannot do that. So I introduce space here because again, if this player receives the ball here, let's say he receives the ball here, Reds escape pressure here, pass here, and this guy can quickly do do that, dribble, and pass. That's what I want. That's the whole point of the exercise, right? So you see that from this exercise, my player is already understanding that whenever he has a space in the field, just because I've introduced one rule here, and he has to dribble over the line, he's motivating himself to attack that space quickly. Probably he's not going to do that until you alarm him to do that, until you make him think of that. So whenever this happens, this guy receives the ball here, you stop and say, hey, Johnny, aren't you guys trying to go to their line, to their side? Oh, yeah. Don't you have a lot of space here? Yeah, I do, coach. Why don't you attack it? Attack the space. Go quickly, dribble. Oh, I can do that? They're probably going to ask, I can do that? Because nobody told them that. Nobody told them to dribble. Very few coaches tell their players to dribble as a solution to their problems. And nowadays I see a lot of one touch, blah, blah, blah. Two touches, blah, blah, blah. Sorry guys, don't use that. You don't want one touch and two touches players. You want players who solve problems. Forget limiting them to solve problems the way you want them to solve. Solve the problems the way it's most efficient to be solved. If a player has space, take it. That's the most efficient and easy way to solve that problem. Okay? Just one more thing. You have to correct this blue guy to always be trying to bother Reds when they're trying to execute this task of dribbling or passing to a space. So if this guy starts dribbling, this guy's going to do that, right? To be in his way. So whenever he's dribbling here and he gets as close as he can, what has to happen? Support. So now this is a 2v1, pass the ball, and this guy dribbles and passes, for example. Okay? But let's come back to this situation here, where those guys are pressing. Okay, so now we have to train support and space. Space is exactly as I showed you. They have to attack spaces whenever they can generate advantage in terms of executing the task of the exercise, which is right now dribbling or passing to the space to the other side. Okay, so you have to stimulate that. So whenever they're pressing here and this guy is stopped, you try to stop the exercise and tell him, are you in a passing lane here? Are you offering a passing lane to your teammates? Let's say this is Johnny again. It's an easy name for me. Let's say this is Johnny. Johnny, do you think you're a passing lane to Charlie? No, not at all, because he cannot pass to me. Or yeah, I think I am. And I say, okay, Charlie, pass the ball to Johnny, and this guy is going to steal the ball, or the ball is going to bounce on him. And then I ask Johnny, are you a passing lane? And he's going to say, no. And then you can just ask another question. Is the pathway between you and Charlie free? Oh no, there's an opponent there. So this is not a passing lane. So find another passing lane. He does that, for example. Okay, and you say, good. This is better. Okay. Now, if this guy does that, what do you do? It's a chess game. What do you do? Oh, I can do that. Exactly. So there, we're establishing one kind of behavior. Never set for not being a passing lane. Always set for being a passing lane. And keep moving, keep moving. This guy moves, you move. This guy moves here again, you move. 2v1. Oh, this guy gets close. Now, get out. and this guy, because you just attracted one guy in. So this guy maybe can get in, and for example, that's it. You're attracting players and trying to move the opponents. Okay? But again, you as a coach, you have to have the solutions for those problems as they happen, because you're here watching that exercise, so you need to understand what they're doing and what they're not doing and how could they do it better, so you can teach them into it, okay? And teaching them through the concepts, not the situation, the concepts, always the concepts. Use the situation to show them the concepts so they can apply it to every other situation, okay? Let's see if there are any questions here. Your players will trust you so much more with your coaching philosophy to make sure everyone is getting the coach's expertise. Exactly. And also being able to be left to play without interference when they are getting it right. Exactly. When they're getting it right, there's no interference rather than praising. It's just praising. Exactly, that's good. And you call the attention from everyone to the one doing it right. If Johnny is doing everything right, you say, hey, Johnny dribbled again to the space. Very well, Johnny. You attacked the space was there. You change your pace, you attack the space very well. Very good, Johnny. That's the way to raise advantage for your team. Everyone else is listening and thinking, hey, I want the coach to praise me too. Let me do that. And they're trying to make it. And when they fail, but trying to make it, you tell them, great, Charlie, you tried. You saw that Johnny was doing the same, and you tried attacking the space. You lost it because maybe you set yourself to a 2v1 against you. Try to recognize disadvantage and attack the better spaces. But you tried, man. That's very good. Keep going. That's it. That's it. Then you maintain your players motivated, having feedback from you, learning what they're doing wrong and right, and having your trust on them. They feel you trust them because you're recognizing every little thing that they're trying to do right. This is trust. Exactly that word, Seth. I like it very much. Really like how the player dribbling across the zone will have to also win a 1v1 to achieve the team's goal, or find the 2v1 with the support. That's exactly what I want, Seth. I want to generate the 2v1 so he can decide to play with the ball if it's better to trick the opponent into thinking he's going to make the pass, coming back and dribbling, or to trick the opponent into thinking he's going to dribble, making the pass, and actually executing the 2v1. I call that hiding behind a defender, when the player off the ball isn't moving to create the passing lanes to support the player on the ball. Exactly, I agree with that. So let's come here, 1 hour and 40 minutes already. Wow, I better divide this into 2 webinars maybe. Let me know, guys. Seth, you are the one participating the most. So let me know if you'd like me to end in 20 minutes, 23 minutes, so we can catch up maybe tomorrow. I can do it tomorrow again. Or I should end and maybe make this a 4-hour webinar. Okay, let me know your opinion. Good point. Okay, let me know about that. The 2v1 I think you mentioned, right, about the good points. Yeah. So this, I think it's clear. The dynamic here is the same. Let's talk about the dynamic of the, oh, no, there's one more thing here. Okay, now how do I convert this space and support? Oh, okay. So now once space and support are corrected from attackers, now attackers are going to recover advantage, right? Their execution is going to be better than defenders' execution, correct? So now we need to intervene and defenders. What is there to add after pressure and cover? The clarity of what they are defending and the priorities of what they are defending. So set priorities. Defenders, set priorities. Okay, this is how you start to shape the exercise into your system, into the system you use with your team. Dimitri, I don't get it. Explain it to me. Okay. In defenders, there are 5 defending and 1 out. So you can say they are defending. For example, let's say you play in a 1-4-3-3 with 1 defensive midfielder and 2 offensive midfielder. Okay, and 2 midfielders. So you can do that. Let's put the ball here just so it doesn't bother us. In the middle, so you understand correctly what I'm saying. That's it. 1 defensive midfielder, 2 midfielders, 3 attackers. And now blues have to always coordinate pressure like this. Ball goes here. This guy presses. This guy's cover. This guy cover. This guy closes the space. This guy tries to avoid the ball from turning to the other round. This guy checks in a little bit. So this guy is going to be covering that space, right? Yeah, a little bit forward, a little bit backwards, depending on this guy's movements. And now reds have to overcome the system, right? They have to come here. So you see that you're training here. Pressure exactly as your attackers are going to press, and build up exactly your players are going to build up. Well, Dimitri, not yet exactly, because you haven't organized red yet. Okay, so I can come here after I set the priorities for defenders. I can set priorities for attackers. So let's say I want them as 6 to build the same way. Let's say the same way. Okay? Say like this. Wingers, attackers. Oh, no, sorry. I'm building up. Sorry. So let's say I have 6 players. I have 4 in the back and 2 midfielders. There it is. There you go. Now this is exactly how your team is supposed to build up from the back in the game, and this is exactly how the other team is supposed to press when they press your build up. Does that make sense? You have left side back, left center back, right center back, right side back, defensive midfielder on the right, defensive midfielder on the left. Okay, just because you don't have 7 players here, you can put 3, so you just do that because it's the closest thing to a 4-3-3. Okay, so this guy is the left side back. So whenever he receives the ball, let's say you want your left midfielder to do a move into the space forward and the right midfielder to support. So you have those 2 triangles. You want your center back to always support here because it's the right thing to do, and you want this guy to get here, or maybe you want this guy, let's say this is the way, right? So we have a triangle here, you have a triangle here. You can escape through that if you can. So this guy is going to press here, this guy is going to cover, this guy is going to try to avoid this, so this guy is going to try to find a passing lane through here or get out, so this guy can check in and receive that ball, and maybe this guy is going to make that move, so this guy has to cover here, so to force him to receive the ball behind him, for example, so he comes here and forces the other team to play back again by reinforcing. This is priorities. This is exactly what I mean by priorities. Let me make this again so you can understand. Example, midfielder, winger, there. So this guy manages to pass the ball to this one that checked in, and my center backs do that. The opposite center back has to check into the opposite side back to give up options like this. This is a very useful move. And you can correct this in this movement. You see that you're not correcting it by obligating them to pass to cones or lines in cones. I don't think it makes sense. I hardly seen those moves that people practice without opponents repeat themselves in games. They repeat once in a lifetime, and people are like, see, I did that for 100 hours in my training, and I scored 1 goal in my season like that. Hey, great, you wasted 100 hours. Great. So just train it like that. So if this guy wants to pass to this guy, this is priority. Okay, your priorities are to move the ball forward as much as you can because you want to go through the line. Okay, and priorities from blue are to avoid that. So what is better, to try to intercept that pass and get a ball on my back, or to admit I cannot press this correctly, so I just stand back and I force you to play to your player while you have me as an obstacle to execute your goal? It's best to do that, right? So this is priorities. This is how you set up a stronger defensive structure. And this is exactly how you set up a stronger attacking structure, because they're setting priorities. So what are the priorities? For example, you can go here, do that. So you force that guy to do that. You force 1 more player into the zone. You force that guy to do that. And now you have space to get this guy, for example, here, or to attack the middle here and receive that ball and attack. For example, if this guy receives that ball here, what is your commands? Dribble, man. And then this guy's going to do that. This guy's going to try to do that, right? This guy's going to try to do that. So another one moves. Let's say this guy does that. Oh, but the structure does not exist anymore, Dimitri. Yes, it does. Structure is advantage. Why do you want your players to have always the same positions? I don't care about my positions. I care about my advantage. So you as a coach, you have to set up your priorities. Do you want your center backs, your side backs, and your midfielders to always be in the same place? Or do you want them to, whatever they do, generate advantage to the play? That's what I want. I stimulate them to my side back to end up as a midfielder, my midfielder to end up as a center back, my center back to end up as a side back. I really, really don't care. Couldn't care less. Why? Because they're all trained to understand the concepts. So I trust them, and I tell them to do that because I teach them how to change positions and understand what each other is doing, so they can fill the spaces correctly. And for example, if my side back goes into the middle by dribbling the ball, someone else knows that they might have to give width. They know it. So they're just trying to generate advantage as they are moving towards the goal. That's the point of it, not to maintain positions. Nobody in the game said that I have to maintain positions. I have to generate advantage and have a clear offensive structure that allows me to have more possibilities to maintain possession, more possibilities to move the ball forward, and more possibilities to score and not lose possession. Period. Whatever they do to do that, I don't care. Questions? I was low down commenting. Sorry, I've been holding you up some. No problem. You haven't been holding up some. I hold myself up. I talk a lot. 7:45 already. Okay. So the dynamic of the exercise now. I think this is good. We're good to go here. Dynamic of the exercise. Every time a player here controls hasn't applied the concept of body orientation correctly. So this guy, for example, he receives the ball from this guy passes to him, and he controls with his right foot, aiming to the right, to the side instead of aiming forward, being able to control with his left and bring the ball forward. Give the ball to yellows and tell reds to press. Do that. Ball in, say, new ball, reds press, no body orientation correction from Johnny, for example. That's it. Clear commands. And reds are playing. They're going to be angry at Johnny, probably. That's what you want. You want Johnny to say, man, I forgot it again. Or Peter to say, Johnny, come on, man. Body orientation. You see that players are helping you, coach? When you signal to them why you're doing what you're doing, they help you. They themselves demand from them and from their peers, their teammates, that they execute things correctly, because otherwise you're going to put the ball to the other team and they're going to press. That's it. That's that simple. Okay? As the ball goes out, let's say yellows are here and the ball goes out here. Okay, one thing I say to my players here, it's not that one ball goes out and the other team goes press. Not that easy, okay? So if reds are pressed by blues in a way that blues are trying to maintain possession, okay? If blues is still the ball from red and kick it out, blues are still pressing. That clear, okay? Kicking it out is not solving the problem. Okay, they have to get out of here, find a safe pass, and pass the ball to the other sides. You can tell them that they can only pass the ball to the other side through the ground if they are beginners. If they are a more intermediate to high level, you can say any pass. So it's going to be a little easier because they're just going to do an aerial pass and long pass to the other side. You have to find ways to go through that problem if you want one thing or the other. But anyway, blues steal the ball from reds and kick it out. Blues press again. Period. No discussion there, okay? Blues are pressing reds, and by pressing and trying to maintain possession, the ball went out. Who presses, Dimitri? Reds. Why reds? Because the ball was theirs. They have the responsibility. They have the ball, so they have to be responsible and mature enough to know that they should be commanding the game. So if they are forced into a mistake, it's their fault that didn't force themselves into advantage. Period. Because they have the ball. So it's their responsibility. So I see many coaches just doing, the ball, yeah, but Blues did everything right. They cornered yellow, but the ball touched for last in this guy's left foot and went out, so he presses again. Why? Why, man? Why are you doing that? Come on, give them something. They were killing themselves there to corner this guy here, and they made everyone else make a mistake because they did it correctly. Just because the ball bounced on him again and went out, you're not gonna give them the gift of possession. They did everything right. In the game, this is a throw-in for the opponent, but your team is here. And you killed their play. And you forced them into a mistake. This is very good. So balance, evaluate correctly, so you can play well with your players' motivations to do one thing or the other in training sessions. Okay, what I've seen is that if I apply that rule that, oh, the ball bounced in you last, so you press, they get frustrated. They get frustrated because most of the times the guy with the ball is just gonna kick it on the other guy if he's overpressed and he has no other way out. Kick it so the ball bounces on him and goes out. Trust me, they do that. And then you as a coach are gonna say, oh no, Blues press again. No. Reds didn't try to maintain possession or force themselves into a mistake. So you press. That's simple. Responsibility was yours. Okay? So I hope that's clear. Putting a ball in, let's say, oh, the ball went out here. And Reds are going to play, so you just put a new ball to yellow. That's it. As quick as the ball goes out. Ball out. New ball, yellows, press blue. Quick commands. Blue press or Reds press, ball to yellow. New ball in, Reds press. That's it. Okay? Shout. Give them an intensity in your voice. Okay? Hey, change, quick. New ball, press. Quick. Okay? Anything else here? Any questions to that exercise so far? Let's see. Teams that can attack with such freedom to rotate to find advantage are so tough. Exactly. That's very tough to predict. Changing possessions show a very higher level of understanding space and concepts and understanding each other. So I love my teams to do that. That's exactly that. You guys that are watching this and are thinking, it's very easy to say that, all of that, Dimitri, but I want to see your results. That's exactly what I defend. Always demand results from everyone you're listening to. So my results are in my video called Soccer Excellence Compilation. That's the compilation from my team's plays. You can see everything that I'm telling you here being applied in my team's way of playing and idea of play. Okay? So I'm really not sure if I stop here and I follow through in another day, tomorrow maybe. Seth, give me your opinion. Would you rather me to stop? Because you're the only one participating here with a comment. Everyone else is just watching. They don't really want to comment or ask question or anything. So I'd like your opinion. Do you think I should keep going or I should stop here? What do you think? Are you still good to go? I can do it for 1 more hour. And it's going to get more simple because next exercise just makes sense. Recording, I'm good either way. Okay, good. So I'm going to keep going. I like that. So I don't think there's anything else to say here. Let me say the transition from this exercise to this exercise. You end this, you tell your players to collect the cones. You tell your players after they collect the cones to accumulate the balls somewhere you're going to use them. So your players are doing that job for you. While they're doing that, you're setting up the cones. In this exercise, running, you run to put cones on the floor. You don't walk. Show your players that you apply what you tell them to do. So you go running, putting cones so to save time. While that, after they put the balls here and the cones together, they are going for water. Okay. After they come from water, they do the circle they did in the beginning like this. They do a circle here to wait for you or here to wait for you, so you can give them the pennies, the whatever you want to give them, the different shirt colors, whatever, just to set up the exercise. Okay, so this is the fastest and most efficient way to transition from one exercise to the other. Players collect cones, player collect balls, you set up the exercise. After they've done what they've done, they go for water. After they come back, everything is ready. Okay? Next exercise. Normal possession exercise. Now we move on to this that looks like a more complicated rondo with only one numerical advantage on the zone, but also equal numerical statistics for both teams, right? Equal number for both teams. Just one of them is behind the line, just trying to support here, just to generate one numerical superiority here so you can facilitate the attacker's job. Dimitri, do you really want to facilitate the attacker's job? With one player, yes, because otherwise it's going to convert itself kind of a man marking, not really man marking because you can zone mark with that, but it's not exactly what you want. You want the play to have continuity so you can add one more player, one numerical superiority to to keep the play going, right? To add continuity. Moving on, a possession drill, 7v7 plus 2. Oh, by the way, your keepers can be here. This can be your keeper, this can be your keeper. Okay, keepers play this game exactly same as other players. They have to dribble, they have to do exactly the same. Here too, your keepers are here anywhere in the 4v1, not the 3v1. Better to be them to be in the 4v1, one on each round, one here, one here. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Those two can be your keepers. Keeper. This is neutral. This is neutral. So again, you're gonna set up this exercise where show them the limits. Cone, 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 maybe 1, 2 cones here, 1, 2 cones here, 1, 2 cones here, not just for the cone, not to bother this guy in the middle, 1, 2 cones, 1, 2 cones here. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 8, and 4 more, 12 cones. You can build up this exercise, just a zone where you're practicing pure possession drill, okay? By the way, the spaces, you have to limit the spaces and see what spaces are good enough for your team to press. You need to always measure if press is as intense as it is and as it can be. Width and depth are the most it can be. Those two concepts are efficiently being applied. Is the space of the exercise correct? You only assess the space of the exercise once pressure and width and depth concepts are correctly being applied. Once you do that, you can think of changing the dimensions of the exercise. Until you've correct that, don't think the problem is, oh, it's too short or it's too big. You don't know. You don't know. Until you see them working 100% intensity, you don't know. Okay? Moving on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players in reds. 8 players in blue, 16 players inside, 2 players on the outside, the 2 goalkeepers. You have 18 players, same session. Okay, now you're moving on to a more complex way to maintain possession. Now you have more concepts, you have more pieces to work on. Okay, first thing you're gonna do is pressure, then with depth, then pressing together. It's the same process, but with a higher level of complexity. Let's get a ball from here. Let's get the coach and the balls from here, put in here. Again, you're standing here, you're not moving around. As the coach, you're not here, not here, not here, not moving around. You're here, here, here. Okay? So there's a ball here. First, you can, the where, right? That's the field. One zone, clear, maintaining the possession, just avoiding the other team from getting the ball. You can say every 10 passes 1 point, or you can say 8 passes 1 point after the first point, and you keep possession. Then 10 passes to make the second point, then 12 passes to make the second point, then 14 passes. If you want, that's a way to go. If you want, when you move the ball from one neutral to the other through the ground, not using long or aerial passes to anyone in the play from the beginning, you can then insert that level of complexity as the game gets more and more to long passes, etc. Long passes are a very good strategy. They're not against possession. You can change the play from one side to the other with a long pass, and that's very effective. So we just need to teach our players when to use it and when to not use it. But I'd like to start here without the long passes, because I just want them to get used to moving close and generating superiority and attracting players and attacking the free space and attracting the opponent again and getting out of there. So just generating superiority, attracting opponents, maintaining superiority, conquering the space, understanding, assessing the superiority as the opponent brings more players into the zone. I need to increase the pace of playing and increase my chances of getting out, because players are getting equal in numbers. So I want to stimulate all of that kind of thinking in my players. Okay. So here, what you're going to be correct first is pressure. First thing, pressure, of course. And then as press is high, you're going to correct width and depth. Okay, they need to be as open as they can. For example, some of them, right? And some of them in the middle, for example. You can put that in, right? So you can put that guy here, for example, that guy with the ball, and that guy around here, for example, right? And look at this. Does this look like building up from the back? Goalkeeper, center back, wide side back, midfielder, 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 and someone else. Who cares who is this? No problem, but this looks a lot like building up from the back, right? So in this exercise, if you train things, the concepts correctly, you're going to see that here they were already building up from the back and pressing as a team presses in the game, and here the same exact thing, without lines, without cones, without jumping obstacles, without anything. Playing what has to be played, the exact game. So if you do things right, and if you teach your players to understand and recognize and replicate the concepts throughout the session, they will be automatically playing the real game in the small situations you create in the small exercises, in the small side games exercises. Okay? So I think here there's not much to say actually. It's basically the same. I think everyone can understand this, right? So you pass here, you attract. They come as a block. So let's say there are 8 players. They should be pressing pressure. There's one cover here, for example. This guy is never going to press like this because then there's space here, right? It's what Seth said. You're pressing, you're closing the middle first. Always close the middle first. This is a very important concept to tell your players. You're not marking the player. You are defending something. You are defending the middle of the game, the middle of the field, because this is the most vulnerable area of the field. Okay? This is where the goal is closer to. The goal is always closer to the middle lane than to the side lane. So you always want to push your opponents to the sides of the field so they are angled to the goal and they can face more layers of obstacles of your team players, of your team's players towards the goal. If they are in the middle, it's hard for you to accumulate players between him and the goal because he's in the middle already. He's just in front of the goal, right? So you want to take him away from the middle. So always accumulate a little players in the middle. For example, look at this. This look a lot like good defensive structure, right? Blues are filling spaces. Everyone is like, everyone is filling spaces here. There's kind of a circle here with one guy in the middle, and this guy can get to here, this guy can get to here and to here, this guy can get to here and to here, to here and to here. And that looks like a lot the lines in the game that are developed naturally in the game. Right or wrong? Do you guys see sense in this? So this is exactly what you want. So you see again that when you teach them the concepts and you just stop and correct them. If this guy is here, you stop. Dude, do you see there's space here? So this guy can just take the space. So don't let him take his space. You don't know if he's going to play. Just stay here. And when this guy signals to you that he might pass to the right, you do that. This guy is going to do that. And this guy is going to do that. Period. This is timing. This is knowing how to recognize situations and responding to it quickly. You, the coach, have to stimulate that in your players. Again, you have to recognize that as you're here watching, you recognize that and you correct that on them. And if you need, you stop the exercise. And if you don't, even better, don't stop the exercise. Again, only stop the exercise to correct things you haven't corrected yet and you think is worth stopping the exercise to teach all of them the concept. Okay? So I think we can move on to the next one because I don't think there's anything else here. How to transition. The transition from this one to this one, I think it's clear. This is a 6v5. This is a 10v8. So you're moving on. This is a 4v2, a 4v1. You can put a 4v2 here, as Seth told us. You can put a 3v1. So from 1 opponent to 5 opponents, from 4 attackers to 6 attackers, and a 6th opponent here. So we have to beat him too. This is a 8v8 plus 2, so you have a numerical advantage of 2 playing against 8. So this is very game-like, very game-like. And the final exercise is going to be this exercise. Consider this a goal. Okay, let me put it white. Consider this a goal. And you're playing from midfield to ending line. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 V8 blues, 1 goalkeeper and 1 goalkeeper. So looks a lot as the possession drill I just designed here, goalkeeper, goalkeeper, and the players here in the middle. Exactly the same, right? So, but it's now a game. And now in this game, you're gonna give them the correct stimuli that makes them play the game the real way. So you're gonna see that when the ball starts here, Let's say you're here, right? When the ball starts here, this guy is going to do that. This guy is going to do that. If you're using the entire field, you can limit here, but you can put a line of cones here. You want it if you want it to be a little more, a little shorter in width, or a line here, whatever you want. Okay. If my players are very well developed, so I want them to do it very quickly, so I just cut that part of the fields, cut off that, so they're playing just inside that area. That's up to you. You see the intensity, you see what you want. I'm just doing the full field here, full width. They're going to do that. Those guys are going to do that. And this guy's going to do that. And whenever the ball is played to that guy, they're going to do that. They're going to do that and look for a passing lane all the time. They're going to do that. They're going to do that because they're generating the same things they were generating here automatically. Now, what you just have to correct is the correct stimulus, the real stimulus in the game, which is to think what you want to do with your opponent during a game. You just make it clear here that now you're applying all those concepts that you learn in those exercises to get where? Here, with advantage. First, you want to maintain the ball here as long as you can. Most of the time, you want to have the ball here. Why? Because it's closer to the goal, period. It offers more danger and more instability to the opponent's overall defensive structure. You want to be here. So stimulate your players to always try to find options that give advantage to them to get to those spaces and maintain the ball in those spaces. When you do that and you stimulate them to do that, you are going to see that more situations are going to be created in those spaces where you can correct more things, because this is you shaping their behavior. So you're telling them, guys, why do I want to maintain possession here if I can maintain possession here? Let them answer. Let them argue with you. Why is it better to maintain here than here? I think they all agree it's better to maintain here because it's closer to the goal. So you do that, and as they do that, they're going to see that the pace needed to maintain possession here, movements off the ball, movements with the ball, supports, width and depth, take the ball out of the middle and back into the middle, has to be much, much faster. So now you're convincing them that playing here is better, and therefore they themselves accept the challenge and the task of trying that, so they themselves generate more opportunity that you, the coach, can correct and correct on them, so they can better do whatever they're doing here and here in a faster, harder pace to be solved in a real game-like situation. Does that make sense? Let's see the comments here. I'm also really pushing them to gain confidence for my age groups. Feel free to correct for my age groups. Even my stronger teams, I will likely even go with 2 less defenders in the zone until they've proven they can do that. Exactly, until they've proven, that's the word, exactly. Then add the extra defender to give only +1 attack, exactly. I'm also really pushing them to gain confidence in 1v1 attacking, so putting 2 defenders in the other zone increases likelihood they will have to win the 1v1 to get out of the zone. Perfect. Attacking, confidence in 1v1, so putting 2 defenders in the other zone makes sense totally. Love you are pointing out that you want your teams to be able to attack through the middle. Yes, and you can see that on my compilation too, Seth. You can see that attack the middle is a concept that I constantly show you my team is doing, because this is very important. Single biggest issue in the US with US soccer, in my opinion, overvalue deep and wide spaces that offer only lower percentage of chances. Exactly. I see many teams that play against my teams, they're doing things here and here and here. Dude, okay, that's what I want you to go. That's where I, while defending, want you to go. Thank you for helping me. I don't want you to be here, so try to be here, right? You think, what don't you want your opponent to do with your team? So that's what you should try to do with the other team, period. That's it. That's that simple, okay? So in this situation, they're going to press. You can make the striker press here. The winger can come here. He will need support from the midfielder. This guy behind him can do that. The defensive midfielder, this can be two center backs. Okay, so I just don't have side backs because my wingers work as side backs here. Okay, so if I'm defending, they are side back wingers. If I'm attacking, they are wingers. or side backs, depending on the situation. Okay, if I move forward, they are wingers. If I move backwards, they are side backs. So pressure here, this guy can fill that space, this guy can do that, and this guy can do, for example, that. See, this is how you press in a game with a 4-3-3 without the side backs. Okay, seems right? So this would be your striker, winger, winger, midfielder, midfielder, defensive midfielder, defender, defender. Okay. So the guys here, for example, this guy has to support here, or this guy can come as a third man to quickly do that. So this guy, so he attracts this opponent. As he attracts this opponent, this guy can quickly shape his body orientation this way. So he receives with the left foot and gains advantage. You can see that this is very important because if he controls with his right, he's going to do that. But if he controls with his left, now he's this way. Now he can attack that space and fix that guy, for example. So as this guy moves to avoid him from moving on, this guy can move one way, this guy can move another way. It's a 3v1. This guy's going to have to do that. This guy's going to have to do that, for example. So you're just shaping their behaviors as things are happening, applying always the same concepts that you have applied in the previous exercises. So guys, I think let's talk about, how you finish the session. So you finish this. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna go back here. They collect all the cones, all the balls, they keep it, they put it away, right? They put it where it should be, and then you come back here. And then you're gonna do that. This is very important, huh? Feedback, exactly what I'm gonna do with you guys now. So you go exercise by exercise, concept by concept, just reinforcing everything you've trained in the session. Okay, so you gather them together and talk to them. Okay, guys, what was the first exercise? Oh, Dimitri, the first exercise was the rondo, the 4v1 rondo or the 3v1 rondo. And I ask, okay, what is the most single important thing in the rondo? Oh, pressure, coach, because without pressure, there's no training. Perfect, Johnny. And you did it very well. Use this time to praise them again. Every time you can praise them, okay? Yes, Johnny, that's very correct. Perfect that you understood it, and your pressure was a very good example of a good pressure in that exercise. And I saw that Charlie was doing it well too. So guys, very well. I saw that, for example, Robert, you could do it a little better, man. Try to shape a little bit. Try to use the feedback to call the attention of the players you want. Okay, and raise their confidence levels. Praising means raising confidence levels, and you need confident players. You need your players to feel they are doing things correctly and to feel they are better than the opponents. If your players feel they are worse than the opponents, mentally they are worse than the opponents, period. Okay? So go step by step, concept by concept. Okay, after pressure, what was important in the rondo? We have to maintain a correct body orientation and control with the furthest foot, coach, because that way we can see more information and have more options as we play, so it's a little more efficient. Perfect, Robert, that's correct, and you did it great in that situation. You lost a little balls because you controlled with your closest foot. Do you remember? Yeah, try to avoid that, man, because every time you do that, I'm going to set you to press, first thing, and you're losing the ball too much. Okay, so try to not corner yourself. Remember, you have to give advantage to yourself. The player's like, yeah, advantage, man. I have to give advantage to myself. That's it. That's how you shape players' behavior, okay? And then you move on to the second exercise, and you go, okay, guys, after that, we moved on to the possession in 2 zones with 3 teams. Does anyone remember? Or you just ask, okay, what was the second exercise? Oh, a possession with 2 zones and 3 teams, and we have to move the ball to the other zone, and we have to move the ball to the other zone. And then you ask, okay, how? Oh, by dribbling, coach, by dribbling. Oh, okay. Why dribbling? Probably you're going to hear silence. They're all going to look to each other and say, why? Why dribbling? And you say, okay, why dribbling? Because I want you to conquer the space. I want you all to move forward and to help each other move forward. Because if you're just allowed to pass from here to here, they're not really moving in order to allow their team to get to that zone and cross that zone with advantage. You see the difference? If you just pass to the other side, you're telling them, oh, after X passes, you can pass to the other side. So they're never conquering space. They're never using their support to move forward. But when you have to dribble or pass to the space so they can receive here, you're obligated to generate situations where your team can get to here with advantage and maintain possession forward and move forward as a block. That's very important, okay? So introduce that concept to them, and they're going to say, oh, yeah, that's true. And then you ask questions about that if you want. You ask other questions of, okay, after press here, what did attackers have to do? They're going to think maybe width and depth. Oh, yeah, how width and depth is important and allows the team to have advantage. Oh, because it gives more space, so more space means more time. More time means I have more time to decide. I have an extra seconds to control if I miss my control, etc., etc., etc. My teammates have more time to move and help me, etc., etc. So I always have to be giving myself width and depth, so I generate advantage with time and space. You go on. Pressure and cover until you get to the priorities, defending exactly like the game and attacking exactly like the game. So you are already reproducing the ideas you want here, okay? What was the next exercise? And they're going to tell you, oh, the possession 8v8 with two keepers. Okay, how did I tell you guys I wanted you guys to solve that problem with long passes or not? No, only passes on the ground, coach. And why is that? Oh, because you want us to get more used to supporting and moving and getting unmarked and moving as a block, etc., etc. Exactly, that's what I want. And you can move on to the other one. You can ask questions here, see if they have any doubts, talk to the players that have had most difficulties executing the exercise. That's the time you use, okay? Don't rush on the feedback. Don't over talk, but don't rush it. So just respect the player's rhythm and pace of learning, etc. Then you go to the next one, and then you make the connection between the exercises. So we moved on to the last exercise with the one we just did here before ending the session. And you saw, guys, that we applied most of the concepts, or all of the concepts we learned in each and every exercise before that we used to apply here. Oh yeah, coach, I see that width was very important for us to be able to circulate the ball from one side to the other to escape very hard pressure here, and the movements off the ball were very important. I saw that whenever I had space to dribble forward, for example, if my team switches rapidly from this side to the other, I saw that I could take that space forward and maybe attack the middle a little bit, and from here I had support because I couldn't go anymore because this guy caught up with me and they accumulated players, and then I had to pass backwards to my center back, but now we were forward, so we conquered that space. So I noticed that a lot, etc., etc. Make them think about the exercises, okay? After you make them think about all the concepts that have been worked and worked on this training session, then you can set them home. And that's exactly what I did with you guys right now. Feedback, exactly how we did what we did from exercise to exercise. So now, my advice to you from building sessions from now on, based on what I showed you, think of a simple exercise where you can train some of the technical problems of the game, such as controlling and passing, such as body orientation, such as things that you can practice in a rondo, for example. I love to start sessions with rondos because they allow me to correct all those things. There's a lot of passing, controlling, and moving in rondos. Okay, so that's what I want. If you can move on to 3v1 rondos, even better. They have more support, they have more difficulty. There are much more rondos. I will give you guys a course. I'm setting it up just on rondos, just on other exercises that I've built myself. I designed 99% of the exercises I use with my team. I designed them myself. They do not exist online. They do not exist in any other coach's database. They are mine and only mine, and I designed them because I don't believe in getting exercises from other players. I have a full video on that. I do not recommend you guys from taking exercises from other coaches, because if the coaches don't show you the exercise, or if you're not experienced enough to be able to judge if the exercise does really make sense, okay? So whenever you have a new exercise and you doubt if it's really useful, ask for the results. Okay, coach, show me the results of this exercise in game-like situations, or in games, or in matches. Show me. What was their team capable of doing recurrently? Every time. They did it every time, or they did it once a season? Because then that's not useful, right? Let's see. So building a session, try to build a session where you can grow progressively the amount of attackers and defenders, so the complexity is evolving through time. So 4 attackers, 1 defender. 6 attackers, 5 defenders directly, 1 defender indirectly. 8 attackers, 8 defenders, 2 support, so 10v8 real game progression. Okay, same concepts, same everything in the session. You're training the same things, but from less complexity to more complexity situations, more complex situations. Okay, I guess that's it. Let's see if I have any questions here. Because we don't value the middle, we don't develop players with the skill to do it. Exactly, Seth, exactly. You have to stimulate them to do everything you want them to be developed in. So it's very easy for coaches to say, yeah, but I don't have the technical players to maintain possession in the middle. Have you tried? Have you taught them to do? Have you incentivized them to do? Have you motivated them to do that? So you can see what problems they are having? You don't. So how do you know? It's very easy for a coach to take responsibility off his back, and say, oh, but my players cannot do that. Have you tried? I don't think you've tried. Good evening, Ian. Had a game today. Looking forward to watch your video in replay. Hey, DB, thank you very much for staying here again, man, for coming here. I remember you from last webinar. Yeah, I'm finishing, but you can catch the replay. I don't know for how long I'm gonna leave the replay here because I like people to attend live, but I completely understand you had a game. I didn't know they were playing games yet with the coronavirus situation, but I hope everything went well and everyone is good and your team played well. Any questions? I'm open for questions. I'm here. I have nothing to say more about the session. I think everything is explained. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say. So guys, if you have any questions, just shoot your questions. Please shoot your questions. I want to talk to you. The more I talk to you, the better we learn. You guys help me remember things. So I'm just gonna wait 5 minutes. There are no questions. I'll just shut this down. Okay. Let me do one thing here and show you guys one thing. Hold on. While you're building up your questions, let me show you this. We enjoyed it. I'm very happy that you enjoyed it, Seth. I think I hope you could have learned something. Share this with other coaches if you think this is useful to you. Please share, guys. The more people can see things that really make them learn, the better, right? That's what we want, better coaches, so we can have a better overall level for all of us to learn better. If you fight against better teams, you're going to have to be a better coach. That's what we want. So yeah, just here. Hold on. Yeah, good. I'm gonna show you some plays here while you're building up your questions there. Look, this is my team playing. If you guys don't know, let me show you some examples of what I mean here. This is build up from the back, building up from the back. Look at this. This is a very good example of why a player should dribble. Look, this is my center back. Okay, let this play end. This one, number 8, from building up from the back. This is my center back. This is my keeper trying to trick the attackers into thinking he's going to play long. Now he plays to my center back. Look at this situation. Okay, it's a very tough situation. Look at the concepts my center back has. Look at this. Look at this. Attract, attack space, attack space, attack space, attack the free space. It's here. And then stop. Rupture pass. 1, there's another player here. 2, 3, 4, 5 players beaten by 1 player who knows how to dribble. That's it. That's a player that solves problem. That doesn't passes on the responsibility to others when he can solve the problem. That's it. Into the middle. That's advantage. I have many times he does that. Other situations where we can see good things. Well, I think in all of my team's plays, you can see a lot of good things. This is a game we played against the women's national team from Brazil, the under 17. We have 2 games against the under 22. Very good opportunity. I thank very much the Brazilian Confederation for inviting me to do those games and help prepare. I'm here on the side and help prepare our girls to the World Cup. This is my team building up from the back again, just moving the opponents, attracting. You see the behaviors here, attracting, support, quickly moving. You see the pace increasing when there are more players. You see we lose the ball and then lose the ball. Just recognize the disadvantage, play back, move to the other side quickly, support, move the other team to the other side. You see a movement off the ball here. You see a change of positions here. This one goes up to leave space, so moving off the ball is very important too. So check this video if you want to see everything that I've talked to you about right now. You can see everything happening in this video. Okay. Brilliant, young Piqué. We'll log in with my profile next time. Was using a friend to watch sports, but didn't want to miss the beginning, so stuck with his profile. No problem. Definitely will try to get some other coaches in my club to log in on the next one. Brilliant, young Piqué. So that's it, guys. No questions anymore. Thank you very much for participating. Thank you very much, Seth, for everything. You've helped me lead this webinar. This webinar wouldn't be possible if you weren't here to help me and make your questions and make everyone a better coach because of you. Thank you very much for participating and taking your time to be here and help us all learn. Thank you, DB. Thanks to my mentor. I learned a lot from him, Jordi Blanco. If you want to follow him and look for his profiles on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, just follow him, Jordi Blanco. He's the best there is. So guys, thank you very much for your attendance here. I hope you guys learned something very important, and thanks for following. By the way, I'm a mentor. I mentor coaches, I mentor players. So if you would like to be mentored with me, I have products, services that I offer to coaches and players. I have players who I mentor, I have coaches who I mentor. I always do, for example, if you have a match and you want to analyze, someone recorded that match, so we can analyze it together. So we analyze it together. I'm going to go step by step on the video with you, analyzing what concepts are clear and what concepts are not clear to your players by recognizing their behaviors, how to practice those concepts. I'm going to give you exercises. I'm going to give you everything that you saw today. I'm going to do it exactly like that with you, so you can learn exactly how you can intervene with your team. I can do that with a training session too. We have a video of a training session. So you want to analyze your training session, what you did wrong, what you did right, what went wrong, what went right. I can analyze it entirely with you and go step by step on what you should have said, what is this player doing, how you didn't understand what this player was doing, or how you did understand correctly what this player was trying to do, how you intervene in that player, etc., etc. We can also do planning sessions. Meetings. So I meet up with you and you just had a game where everything went bad and you want me to help you plan the season, plan the week, or plan the session for the next day. I can sit with you and plan the entire session, or I can just help you give you feedback on a session you already have. Oh, Dimitri, I already have this session and I would like your opinion, if this makes sense, if the progression is right, if the complexity is growing, if my players are not wasting their time in lines, if they are participating, etc., etc. We can do that too. So contact me if you'd like to improve your coaching skills, because you just saw here that the results are there and the methods are here. So let me know if you need help. Contact me, thesoccerexcellencementor@gmail.com. Thank you very much for participating and stay tuned for next events. Bye guys, have a nice Sunday.